Welcome back to the afternoon session. Good afternoon to one and all present to this session. It is my privilege to introduce our speaker for this session, Dr. Janardhanan Gangatulasi. He is an Associate Professor of Civil and Environmental Engineering and Head of Center for International Affairs and Center for Curriculum Development, Planning and Coordination at the National Institute of Technical Teachers, Training and Research, Chennai. Dr. Janardhanan has over 18 years of research, teaching and consulting experience within the broad fields of civil, environmental engineering and engineering education. His research expertise includes technology-enabled teaching learning, assessment and evaluation, development of MOOCs, accreditation, academic quality framework, and academic auditing, learning spaces blended approach, and active and experiential learning. He has coordinated more than 20 international training programs and trained around 400 international delegates from 68 different countries across the globe. He has received various fellowships and awards. He is serving as a reviewer for various journals and international conferences. Today we have a very eminent personality, and he will be discussing ICT methods in outcome-based education. I welcome you, sir.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
It is audible, sir?
Good afternoon,
Yes, sir.
sir. Yes, sir. It's audible.
Okay. So I can share the content also. Good afternoon, and it's my pleasure. And I am very much pleased to be a part of this AICT program coordinated by Rajagiri. And because I have seen Sir was very systematic in giving the updates and giving the reminders. Because I told, okay, sir, we will positively we will be there. But morning also he has given a good reminder and everything. And quickly we will go through the what exactly you mean by outcome-based education, because the training program started for the past 4 days. You are having the training program. By default, you might be knowing exactly what exactly the outcome-based education is and how the things are working on it. And before adopting it, so I should know in the outcome-based education, predominantly the use of ICT plays an important role in the teaching learning process. So let me share a slide before starting the session, and I just want the participants to go to www.menti.com. You just open a browser. I request the participants can open a browser, web browser, and they can create. They can open a browser and type menti.com. Menti.com. That is the first task which I wish the participants need to do, and based on that, I will be giving a pin which they can use it for the purpose for the participating in the survey. So the pin what they have to use is 4233482. 4233482. That is a pin. That is a code which they have to use. I will share the screen. I will share my content. I will share the screen. I hope the screen is shared. And let me mute the video. Let me go to the present slide. Okay. As you all aware, the outcome-based education, OBE, because you know the story of outcome-based education started with Russia with the release of the satellite Sputnik. Then the US started thinking how to redefine their school education. Under the headship of Professor Spady, a committee has been formed to look into the implementation of outcome-based education. If you observe, the fundamental definition of outcome-based education The learning is fixed, but the learning time varies. That is the fundamental definition of outcome-based education. So you're fixing the learning content, but the learning time varies. The differentiated instruction or individualized learning need to be incorporated in the case of outcome-based education. Individualized teaching or individualized learning, or we call it as a personalized learning, and we call it as a differentiated instruction. The personalized learning and a differentiated instruction going to form the crux of the outcome-based education. I don't know how many participants are there, but I can look into the participant list. 49 participants are there. In general, if the 49 participants are there, at least I can expect 50% of them to participate in the poll. So if anyone is having any doubt in participating in the poll, kindly put it in the chat window. I will guide you. Go to www.menti.com. Use the code 4233482. No, I don't want to use the okay. Coding is open. I can go to the chat. I can paste it. If you have any doubts or any question in participating, it just participate, because now these days we are adopting the online teaching learning process. I am pretty sure next few years, or the way in which we deliver the session, the way in which we are going to articulate the content or making the students to comprehend, by default it's going to change. It's going to change because of the pandemic or the new normal life. Now I request, only 8 participants are there. Alfonso Johnny sir, Ashna Joseph, Ashia Femin Majid. If you have any issue, just contact me. I request Benu Madam, Benu Riju, Benny KK. Benny KK is in 2 things. He is in mobile, he is in desktop also. Deepak K Baby, Deepthi Jain, Divya. It's like taking attendance. I request them to go to menti.com and use the code and participate in this quiz. What to do after this, sir? Yes, sir. Fantastic, sir. Sir has asked, Reynolds George sir has asked what to do. Just I want to get your views and opinion. There are 3 questions are there. I will be sharing the 3 questions before starting my presentation. I just want to have your view. What concerns do instructors have in online teaching? Select all that apply. Because some you guys have told student cheat during teaching and assessment. I'm making it very open. This questionnaire, these questions I have floated both in international audience and national audience. I will share what was the perspective of the individuals who they have answered. I will be sharing the answer because recently we have conducted a program for all faculty members of Triple IT. In the country, around 22 Triple IT faculty members, around 160. The ministry was asking us to do the training. We conducted the training. And similarly, we did for NIT Tiruchirappalli and other NITs where I administered. I will share you what sort of answers the people give. Because we are thinking the student cheat during teaching and assessment. That's a part. I'm not denying it. But that was not the priority in certain institutions. Priority was different. Maybe someone, first person might have taken this, you might have all selected. So I just want to rank you. What concerns do instructors have in online teaching? whether the student teach during online teaching and assessment. It is art to figure out students are learning. It is art to get students engaged. Students are often confused what instructors want them to do because I have told you to participate in the poll, but I didn't give a direction properly. Luckily, Reynolds Joe sir was asking, sir, what I have to do after this? You asked one question, I have answered. What else you want to do? That was a fantastic question which Reynolds Joe sir was asking. So sometimes in online instruction, the students are often confused or often they don't have a clarity of what the teacher expects them to do or what the teacher wants them to do. They don't have a clarity. That is the issue which we face. So, what concerns do instructors have in all? As a faculty member, when you are going to implement outcome-based education, as I told you, the fundamental definition of outcome-based education is the learning is fixed. The learning time varies. That is the fundamental definition provided by Professor Spaddy in his book on outcome-based education. The learning is fixed. What we mean by learning is fixed? The learning outcome is fixed. Expected outcome is fixed. But the learning time among the learners varies. Mic is open. I request the audience to mute their mic. I don't know whose mic is open, but I request the moderators to kindly mute maybe most of them except me. Okay, someone has raised that. Okay. Okay. Around 53 participants are there. I don't know 54 and how many of them have answered. Only 19 of them answered. And generally I prefer 50% will go. Okay, maybe next question more people will answer. This was very clear. The student cheat during online. Okay, 20 people have answered. That's also good. Okay, let me wind up the question. But if you see the fundamental definition of learning, learning is not the product of teaching. Learning is the product of activity of the learners. That is the question which you have to remember. Definition. Learning is the product of activity of the learners. Activity in the sense how you are going to engage them, how you are going to empower them with the knowledge. So the basic crux, if you observe, the learning results only by the activity. Learning results only by the engagement. So engagement in the terms of activity, in the terms of project, in the terms of quizzes, in the terms of examination, in the terms of capstone project, various mode we might try. But the first and foremost thing is, it is art to get students engaged was a predominant query of the several faculty members. And it is hard to figure out students are learning. Yes, I don't know, because whether students are learning or not, it is hard to figure out because we cannot identify from the online. So it is very difficult. So we are finding it difficult. So it is hard to figure out whether the students are learning or not. That is also there. And the next, we have found student cheat during online teaching and learning. That was a third option which we are getting. More than around 800, 900 people I have surveyed with the same questionnaire. That was the third answer. I'm not telling this is right or wrong. That was a mindset of predominant teachers. The teachers are worried. In my online teaching, I don't know whether they are learning or not. I don't know how to engage them. If I engage them properly, obviously the student will not cheat. The student will never cheat. But we don't know how to engage them. That is the question. In the outcome based, they are telling you have to focus. The teaching learning has to redefine. That is the definition they are giving. So in such situation, if you observe, engagement plays an important role. Making them to learn makes a second thing. And cheating is obviously it is there. Often confuses the third. Let me go to the second question. when you adopt online teaching, because now outcome-based education, by this time several people would have covered what is objectives, how to write objectives, how to frame objectives, how to frame vision, how to frame mission, how to frame PEOs, program educational objectives. What do you mean by program outcomes? What do you mean by graduate attributes? What do you mean by program specific objectives? And what is learning that ILOs, internal learning outcomes or course outcomes you might have. So now my question is, so if the online teaching, for which content it is very easy to teach? Is it for procedural knowledge? It is for factual knowledge. It is for conceptual knowledge. It is for affective domain. Is it for metacognitive knowledge, communication skill perpetual motor? I request the participants to select it. Last time we had 22 people have participated. I hope the same number or it might increase. If it decrease, there is some issues are there in the connectivity. If it increase, I'm very much happy.
The impression act யூசி எல்லாம் ஒரு பிரச்சனை இல்லை ஃபோன் பண்ணி பேசலாம் யூசி எல்லாம் இன்ட்ரெஸ்ட் அது நோட் போட்டு அமைச்சிருக்கேன் நோட் போட்டு அமைச்சு
எப்படி யூசி வருது
யூசி நான் கொடுக்க மாட்டேன் நோட் போட்டு அமைச்சுக்கொண்டேன் வந்து பிடிஎஃப் தான் அமைச்சது அமைச்சு டவுன்லோட் பண்ணி அனுப்பிட்டாங்க யூசி அப்புறம் அட்டன் கேட்டேன் வந்து எப்படி செய்யணும் இருக்குதா ஸ்லைம் வந்து ஈவினிங் வாங்கிட்டு கேட்டா வந்து நோட் போட்டு நாங்கள் யூசி அவங்ககிட்ட தான் இருக்கும் நோட்டு அது எடுக்கவே இல்லை சார் ஏதோ கவர்மெண்ட் மெயில்ல போய் அவங்க போய் டவுன்லோட் பண்ணி எடுத்து
எல்லாரும் கொடுத்து
என் குழந்தைக்கு வாங்கி வச்சுட்டு அன்னைக்கு கொடுத்தல சாப்பிட்டு பெரிய டாலி ஒரே நம்ம சொல்லி பார்த்தா மொபைல போட்டு போயிட்டேன்
கிளாஸ் முடிச்சுட்டு
என்ன சொல்றாங்க என்ன சொல்றாங்க வந்து யூசி வாங்க சொல்லுங்க அது சொல்லுங்க சொல்லணும் சரி வேணா சொல்லிட்டீங்க
Okay. Only 17 people have answered. I will just move forward. I don't want to spend some time. And I got participants, around 60 are there. Venkatesh sir, good afternoon. But you have to select the responses. Can you select it, sir? That is a thing which I expect. Okay. Sri Lakshmi GS, Sri Lakshmi Swapana, Ankachan, Meena, Venkateshar, and Vinita, those who are from desktop is easy to participate. Those who are from mobile, they might find difficult to participate. Okay, let me wind up this also. 18 people have to. Perfect. Generally, when you teach the content are grouped into 6 categories when you're using the ICT tools. But in general, as per the Bloom's taxonomy, if you observe, it should be smart. We tell always it's smart. The objectives need to be smart. Outcome need to be smart. You should know the difference between objectives and outcomes. That is the first and foremost thing. Objectives are generally defined from the teacher's perspective. Outcome is from student perspective. If we want to put it in an example, for example, if my objective is to make the students to use to learn how to use a stethoscope, that is my objective. What is the outcome I expect from the students? The students should be in the position to show the difference between, identify the difference between abnormal and normal heartbeat. That is the outcomes. So you need to be very careful. You need to be very having clarity in the thought. So what is the difference between objectives and outcomes? So generally we tell why the outcome-based education now became very famous, but not in the past. The main reason is previously, for example, if you think getting a license is the output, but driving the vehicle properly in the road is the outcome. Okay. Previously we were in the output-based education. Now we are in outcome-based education. Previously, output was equivalent to outcome. The people who are graduating from the technical institutions, they possess a very good skill. Science and mathematics skills are very fantastic, exemplary. But nowadays, the people who are graduating, they don't have a clarity in the content of what they have learned. I am not finding fault with the methodology. I am not finding fault with the syllabus content, but I'm finding fault with the system. So if you observe, previously when the person is going to go for getting a driving license is like an output. But outcome is he has to know how to drive the vehicle properly in the road. Nowadays, several people possess license, but they are not riding properly in the road because of the outcome. So the government envisaged the output and outcome should be equal, or outcome is only more emphasis rather than the output. Several people can get a degree certificate, BTech degree. But outcome is, are they a potential engineers solving the problem of the society, which we have envisaged in the vision document. That is the reason vision and mission are very, very important, because someone would have taught you how to frame the vision, business, purpose, and value. That is it. So, in the case of a content, the content could be grouped as per the Bloom's taxonomy into 4 different categories. First one is the factual knowledge. Second one is a conceptual knowledge. Second one is a procedural knowledge, conceptual knowledge, procedural knowledge, and metacognitive knowledge. But this is in the knowledge dimension. And cognitive dimension, you might have remember, understand, apply, analysis, evaluate, and create. This is a 2-dimensional Bloom's taxonomy or Anderson taxonomy, so which will be known by the content. So you should know what is facts, what is the concept behind it. If you remember the concept behind it, the procedure, you won't make mistake. And finally, you will have the metacognitive knowledge. That is the fundamental you have to remember. So the first question also 22 people replied. Second question also 22 people are replying. So you have to remember the conceptual knowledge. In general, the ranking of online teaching is very easy for facts and figures. I can show the facts very easily, dramatically. I can show it. Procedure also you can show very easily in the online content, because nowadays lot of videos are available for how to make Adapradamai, or how to make Pulisheri, or how to make Palamuri. All online videos are available. Procedure knowledge also you can easily get, but it is very difficult to get the skill through online. Because skill you have to practice. Metacognitive knowledge, it's difficult. Yes, perfectly you did correct answer. But affective domain also is relatively easy as you have ranked fourth. Good, because nowadays lot of moral stories are available in WhatsApp videos, small motivational stories. So where the affective domain teaching is easy, but measuring is difficult. Whether he has really changed or really motivated or really transformed, it's very difficult. But we can teach in terms of stories. Communication skill is also relatively easy because lot of web portals are available to teach you soft skills and other items. Communication skill is also easy. So the online teaching is easy for the following, perfectly correct. But in the rank of factual, it comes the first, then comes the concepts, then comes the procedure, then comes the communication, then comes the affective, then comes the skilled, perpetual, and metacognitive. Correct, perfect. The last question which I want to ask before starting the presentation, whether you adopted any blended approach. Blended means ICT combination approach before pandemic or during pandemic, or still I never adopted in your teaching learning process. In your teaching learning process, whether you have adopted the blended approach. Blended is the combination of ICT, information and communication technology tools, and the content, normal traditional. So is it did during before pandemic or during pandemic or never? Because after pandemic, I cannot ask. Still the pandemic is going on. Still the people are suffering. The count is day by day increasing. Let me see how many out 822 people is your average content. So let me see how many. 17 people have answered. Fantastic. Twenty people have answered. Our favorite is 22 number. But now it's good. 24 people have answered. 2 people have motivated, but they all are using. I know in Kerala, ICT is very strong, and they have the flavor of open source. Always they follow the free and open source software. Okay, fantastic, sir. Fantastic. 17 people have used during pandemic, and before pandemic, 7 people have used. I'm also very happy because 24 people were, 25. But now the count is also increased. 70 people are there, but still 70 is 25. One third, less than one third are answering, but no problem. Always count your blessings. So I'm happy over it. At least one third is answering. Maybe good. Generally, the system 10% or one third of the system will be Legon, or 1/4 generally. But here, the people are maybe they may not be knowing the guidelines or how to use it. Okay. Blended with the help of Moodle, sir. Perfect. Angel Johnson. Moodle platform. Perfect. It's good. Moodle, you can use Moodle or you can use Canvas. You can use go to webinar Canvas, or you can use Moodle, or you can use Nomio, or you can use Google Classroom. Not a big issue. Okay, perfect. Perfect, 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 perfect. Amazing, 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 amazing. 26 people. It's good also. 27. It's increasing. Good. But no, never. That's also good. Everyone is having a good knowledge about ICT. So it's challenging for me to man over the class. That's also a big challenge. Maybe let me see. Let me see how to work on. Okay. Okay. Good, 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 good. Very good, very good. But remember, at the end of the session, I have a small quiz in Kagut. I want the participants to participate in the Kagut. Kagut was related to the outcome-based education. So how to write your vision, what is the flow, you remember vision, POs, PSOs, then INO, or learning outcomes or course outcomes. We call course outcomes, program outcomes, but whereas we call program educational objectives. You should know the reason why I have told at the beginning itself, objectives and outcome, what you mean. Objective is what you wish to do the students to do, and outcome is what the students demonstrate. An outcome always need to be demonstrable, and always it need to be measurable. It need to be measurable, and you need to be in the position to demonstrate the outcome. So that is the fundamental difference of outcome. Okay. So with this, I will just wind up the quiz. And I will share the answers. Okay. No, nothing is wrong. No correct, no wrong. Everything is correct and everything is wrong. So that is a trend which you have to believe. So let me start the presentation. Application of ICT in outcome-based education. So as you all know, outcome-based education contains a three-part: outcome-based curriculum, outcome-based teaching learning process, and outcome-based assessment. There are three things are there: outcome-based curriculum, outcome-based teaching learning, and outcome-based assessment. So outcome-based curriculum, you don't have any say. APJ Abdul Kalam Technological University, they are doing the curriculum. Or if you are autonomous, Rajagiri is autonomous, so they might be doing. So autonomous institution, they have the power to do it. But curriculum, it's already within the framework. AICT also gives a model curriculum. Assessment, that's also systematic. But ultimately, where you can play or where you can work is nothing but an outcome-based teaching and learning. My question is it doing things better or doing better things? So you have to remember, anyhow you are going to teach them, anyhow you are going to adopt the modern methodology, but it always preferable to have doing better things. So do something better which will really earmark you from everyone. So in this lecture, the content expressed are purely my technical perspective. It does not represent the organization to which I am affiliated. That is a fundamental thing which you have to remember. So you have to remember. So that is there. So in this lecture, content expressed are purely my technical perspective. It does not represent the organization to which I am affiliated. In the outcome-based education, the main fundamental is differentiated instruction is possible. So the participants of different size and different are there. So only thing you have to bring them to a minimum level of equally everywhere. Some people are ahead, no problem. But I have to make them to reach at least minimum of the same level. So that is the first and foremost thing we have to remember. So Mentimeter already you have completed. So predominantly I want you to know how to orchestrate the classroom learning environment. Because if you observe during the pandemic, what we observed is educational institution does not mean students will learn. That you have to remember. So it does not mean the students will learn. And learning does not mean the students will have skills for the labor market. Because so the learning does not mean you will be having a skill for the labor market. And the third thing you have to remember, The skill does not mean student will have a job, because it's a more complex rule. Because if you observe, so educational institutions are not only the place where you can get the knowledge. Now, learning takes place anytime, anywhere, and everywhere. So, learning alone does not mean you will have a skill for the labor market, because skills, whatever the knowledge you possess now, may not be suitable for the market demand. Or the market demand is dynamic, it might have changed. That's also possible. So you cannot forecast what exactly you need. And the skill does not mean that you will have a job. Even if you possess a skill, doesn't mean that you will have a job. It is a complexity. But one thing you have to remember, are we doing old things in a new way? Or is it a new thing in a new way? In the outcome-based education, we have to remember, we are doing the old thing in a new way, or is it a new thing in a new way? Ultimately, the outcome-based education focus on OBLT, outcome-based teaching and learning process. So in the case of outcome-based teaching learning process, the advantage or the disruptive technology in the field of education is the online tools and SWAYAM. You have to remember MOOCs. That is a disruptive technology. The use of tools, that is very, very important, plays an important role. So this is the most important time to take care about education. This is the most important time to be in the education. And this is the most important time to impact the education, because now it is highly competitive. How we are going to adopt the new normal life. That is the priority which you have to remember, sir. So educational institution predominantly having a knowledge as well as job. So how Rajagiri College became famous, they provide a good knowledge, good placement records are also there. So the college became very famous. But if you see the developed country and developing country difference, in developing country, the main focus of education institution of undergraduate level is to provide them a job of high package. That is a very, very important. It is not only the question of providing the knowledge. The question of providing a knowledge depends upon the two things. One is the digital learning space, second is the physical space. Physical space and the digital learning space are the two things you should remember. And if you observe or if you visualize, the predominantly the physical space is shrinking and digital learning space is expanding exponentially. So we have to think about how to make the digital learning space. If you see the digital learning space, it comes into the social presence, cognitive presence, and teaching presence. How you can make it. So that we will see in the subsequent. The challenges and solutions. So challenges, what we have in the case of online and direct mode at present is both things possible. Attention to learner motivation. I have observed, even of our hard work we do, the students are not getting motivated properly, and getting learners to express their reasoning. Opportunities for immediate micro applications is not there. Formative assessment and instant feedback, explicit activities to foster peer learning, and also we have to remember the ensuring learning current. So we have to remember how to make this thing. So what if you do? So what we are doing, the standard 1 hour lecture we are trying to mimic. That is the problem, but we should not make the 1 hour lecture. That is the main problem. Is we have to expand accordingly. We have to expand, or we have to focus on the things accordingly. That is a very, very important aspect which you have to remember. Very important aspect which you have to think it over. Very important aspect. So the information is no longer this thing, and we have to think about online. So the solution is, in the online education, you can have a better connectivity, better impact. So the question comes here is not the question of content delivery. We are focusing online or ICT tools for content, making a PowerPoint. What it is available in the book, same thing we are making a PowerPoint. That is not required, because the students have better access to the information now. They can know. If you tell the pile integrity test, today I was asking my students to do about the pile integrity test. So they brought out a very good images of very close up how the flight integrity graphs comes, everything. So information is available plenty in the internet. ICT provides a good scope. It is not the question of content delivery. It is not the question of content delivery. It is a question of context delivery. You have to remember. If you want to be a success in outcome-based education, you don't need to focus on content. In addition to the content, predominant focus need to be there on the context. Context only we have to focus. It is not a question of Fibonacci series. It is a question of how to teach the Fibonacci series, where the application of Fibonacci series is available. So how to make them a great impact by learning the Fibonacci series. So that is it. So, but in the case of education, ICT implementation, four things are we are having a challenges. One is a risk embracing. Risk embracing. What do you mean by risk embracing is, so nowadays the students are having access to information from anywhere, everywhere. So previously the teachers are only the sole information providers. Now that is not the situation. If the teachers are not giving, if the clarity is not, the students are not asking from the teachers. They are asking and they are getting information from the others. They are getting information from the others. So that is it. So that is the first and foremost thing. That is the important thing. Risk embracing. Second thing is a competition. What do you mean by competition is, that is cooperation and competition. So now information is plenty. Lot of videos are available. Swayam videos are available. Lot of professors have made the laboratory videos. Lot of lectures are available. So it doesn't mean that I should not lose my identity. How I can make a cooperation with the competition, because a lot of resources are available. I need to focus on cooperation. That they coined the term competition. Third thing is exponential growth and thinking. Exponential growth and thinking, what we mean is, predominantly we mean the technologies are growing exponentially. Technology is growing highly fast. And the last one is thinking local. Whenever you have to think, even teaching the global content, teach to the local participants or customize to the local need. I always tell McDonald's and Subways, when they are there, it is not the question of McDonald's and Subways. What it is available in the global market need to come to India. But in India, they customize. They made their own local paneer patty or chick patty or arakarbaba patty. All those patties are available. In US, for vegetarian, only one thing is there: veg delight and veg sub. Only two things. But here, I have N variety, Monday to Friday, different days. Saturday and Sunday different. So veg separate counter, non-vegetarian separate counter. So thinking local, that is also very, very important, because it is not a question of global, it is a question of how to make the local participant into global aspect. That is the focus which you have to focus. So in the national education policy, categorically define the use of technology, So how they declare the use of technology is, so use of technology plays an important role. Use of technology plays an important role because the technology in teaching, technology in education, it clearly focuses on four aspects. What are the four aspects in focus? So to improve the teacher in preparation and development, improve the teaching, learning and evaluation process, enhance educational access to disadvantaged groups, and streamline education planning, administration and management. Four different aspects it has been focused. So how this four different aspects? Because if you see outcome-based education, ultimately should focus on accreditation. NBA accreditation is the main focus. NBA accreditation is the main crux which we are all focusing. NBA accreditation is the main crux. In such situation, how we can get the points? Because use of ICT in teaching, criteria number 2 or criteria number 3, or which criteria, how we are going to work on it. That is going to be the major focus which you have to work with. That is a focus, major focus which you have to work, which you have to implement it. So that is the major focus. So what are the aspects which are to be taken into consideration? How we can work on it, we will see one by one. So we will see one by one so that you will have a good clarity of the content. So there is a transition from physical to digital. So it is not a question of physical learning hereafter. It is a question of digital learning. That is very, very important. It is a question of digital learning that plays an important role. It is a question of digital learning that plays an important role. So that plays an important role. How it is going to be done is you are going to be that's going to be the important factor. You have to remember that. You have to remember that is the important. So current reality is in 2005 we see Pope Benedict when he was taking a Pope, giving a lecture, giving a prayer meeting. Everyone were listening to Pope Benedict. In the case of Pope Francis, when he did, everyone started taking photographs because the technology has revolutionized the way in which we do the teaching learning process. So here in the blended approach, recently when we did a program for AICT, we demonstrated. So it is not the 45 hours, means all the 45 hours you need to deliver online. It is only 1/3 you can deliver online. Remaining you can provide access to the material because it is a combination of synchronized and asynchronized mode. So let's together explore the future online class. But we have to remember, even in the online class, the students are blindfolded in learning. What do you mean by blindfolded in learning? They are focusing only towards mark and only towards the job. They are not showing interest towards the content. They are not showing interest towards the importance of the value of the other thing. They are only focusing on the mark. That is it. So where is the key? Key is the our teaching learning process. You have to remember, it is impossible to redesign students to fit into a system, but we can redesign a system for the students. We can redesign a system for the students. That is very, very important. So that way you have to be very okay. So that way you can make it. So as I told you earlier, learning is not the product of teaching. Learning is a product of activity of learner. It is the future again. It is impossible to predict the future with great accuracy because we don't know how the future is going to turn. We never thought the pandemic is going to redefine the way in which we teach and learn. And it is also silver lining. It is also silver lining because it made our teacher also as a COVID warrior. Without uninterruption break in the knowledge supply, the faculty members are working on it and we work and we made the things to happen. So what is the impossible to predict the future with a great accuracy. But ultimately you have to remember the teaching learning process. When we use ICT, it is not the path you are walking comfortable because I have to learn different tools. I have to learn Kahoot, I have to learn Mentimeter, I have to learn how to create a learning environment, how to make use of my teaching learning material, because we call in the case of online education 3 important things. One is creating your own learning environment. Second is creating your own learning material. Third is your own creating learning assessment. So creating a learning environment is an important aspect because we don't know what is going to be the learning environment. So that is one way you have to remember. Second is creating a learning material. So you should know the different tool. Third is the learning assessment. So that is it. So tap the energy that that learners bring to the meeting because the students are predominantly digital natives and the teachers are predominantly digital immigrants because when I have seen the electrical bulb, I was not excited. Whereas when I've seen the computer, mobile phone, I got excited. Whereas my kid, God didn't get excited for the electric bulb or laptop. Whereas my father would have got excited for the electrical bulb. Grandfather would have got excited for electrical bulb. Because when the technology was there during your birth, you became native of the technology. When the technology was there after your birth, you became immigrant of the technology. In the case of a teaching learning process, a technology plays an important role. Technology need to be focused. What is the next step for you? Think big, and we don't have a choice whether we do use ICT. The question is how well we do it. So the information is available, knowledge is available, you have to connect it, that is better. So now we are going to focus on design. tools and management. So in the case of a design, as I told you earlier, it is a proper fusion of online and learning experience. The learning content need to be grouped into 6 major categories. Learning factual, learning facts, learning perpetual motor act, learning concepts, learning skill. So you have to group the content according to the 6 category. Based on the grouping of the content, you have to decide how much proportion of online is suffixed for the classroom, because nowadays the students are not coming in person. They are participating in the Zoom meeting, G Suite meeting, or they are participating in the classroom with the G Suite email ID. So the blended approach or the teaching learning purpose, either you can have a face-to-face lecture modified by the online tutorials or online classes, or it should be the combination of synchronized and asynchronized. Synchronized is a live lecture. Asynchronized is a recorded lecture which you are giving. So in the case of depending upon the content evidence, if it is a factual knowledge, if it is a procedural knowledge, you can record the content and you can upload it, because where the question of the taking care of the content is taken care. Whereas in the case of other thing, you have to focus on the direct mode. So it is not the question of synchronized or synchronized. Nowadays, it is a question of what proportion you want to adopt. Because when I'm offering 8-week SWAYAM courses, at least 3 days, 3 weeks once I'm having an online course, online interaction meeting I'm having. That is very, very important, because that plays an important role. Synchronized and unsynchronized plays an important role. So opportunity, flexibility, interaction, and also we are focusing on learning to the virtual citizens. Those things also we have to take into consideration. So there are 6 learners are at the center, followed by the teacher, content, technology, learning support, and institution. So this is the way the teaching learning process in the case of OBLT is the ICT. So the learners are always at the center. The teacher, the content, technology, learning support, and institution. So what I will do, I will demonstrate 1 or 2 technologies for you, so that you will get a clarity on how to prepare the environment. But you have to remember 3 important things. First one is outcome-based learning environment. Outcome-based learning environment, predominantly you mean one of the important things which you have to remember when you remember outcome-based education. So one thing is, it is not the question of learning theories, it is a question of learning theory implementation. So the learner surrounded by the teacher, content, technology, learning support, and institution. All the 5 things plays an important role. Each aspect has a different segment which you have to remember. So researcher, practitioner, and the collaborator, and technology, whether it's synchronized mode or synchronized mode, offline or online, facilitator, moderator, advisor, institution strategy, service support, and infrastructure, and the content. Is it a collaborative learning, or it is individualized learning? It is a deeper learning, or it is a problem-based learning, or it is a interactive learning. You have to remember, and it is learning support. It is learning support is how much you are going to take into consideration of the learning purpose. Can we have 15 minutes break as praise? At 2:15, I am planning to give the break. It is only 2:13. I'm noting down. I have kept an alarm, madam. Don't thank you. Thanks for reminding. Riku Jacob, no problem. We will have a break of 15 minutes. No problem. It's now is 2:14. Okay. We will assemble here at 2:30 as usual, because you have to remember, I will finish this community of engagement with the participant, engagement with the content, engagement with the goals. These are the 3 engagements you have to have, and how you are going to use the tools that I am going to cover after the break. That is the way thing which I planned, because you have to have a social presence, cognitive presence, and teaching presence. Social presence, the students are very active when they engage with the participants. But at the same time, engagement with the content is also needed, because nowadays the content are highly volatile. Everywhere it is available. So as a teacher, I have to make the learning experience. Yes. Yes, sir. So what we will do, we will cover join after the small 15 minutes break as per the timetable. So it's already 2:15. We will break. We will assemble back at 2:30, sir. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. Thanks. soon after the break, I request I invite the participants and for this thing. So now, before starting, okay, let me take because are the guys are there? Okay, guys are there. Okay, how many of them are 73 are there? Okay. Oh, camera is not on. Okay, camera on. Okay, good. Good afternoon and welcome back to the session. And I request the participants to give the first part. We will discuss what exactly the outcome-based assessment, outcome-based curriculum, outcome-based teaching learning. So if you observe in the outcome-based education, learning is fixed, learning time varies. It is ultimately depend on the teaching learning process. How you are going to redefine the teaching learning process, that matters a lot. And that is going to influence our way of augmenting the things. So as I told you, in the case of outcome-based teaching learning, the differentiated instruction is possible and the personalized learning is also possible. So in the case of ICT tools, there are three different aspects which you have to focus. One is creating a learning environment. Creating a learning environment is the first aspect which you need to focus. Second is the creating a learning material. Learning material. There are various tools are there to create a learning material. I will be demonstrating each one, two. And third is creating a learning assessment. Can we start now, sir? Renu Jacob, madam, already we started. Okay, maybe okay, Renu Jacob has sent 224. Okay, I didn't notice. So this is a three aspect which you have to remember, sir. So now the important aspect which you have to focus is how we can create a learning environment. Learning environment, as you all aware, the learning environment in the current day scenario in the ICT tools, there are different platforms are available. Either Google Meet, you can use it, but G Suite for Education has redefined. G Suite for Education clearly tells that for academic purpose, you have to go for G Suite for Education. It's not the normal Google Classroom. You can adopt for your classroom teaching. So G Suite. So before starting, to have an interaction with the students, let me play a Kahoot quiz. I request the participants to go to kahoot.it, kahoot.it. I request the participants because I want to warm up the before starting. This warm up will be very fast. Last time, Menti, okay, okay. Where is the screen? Okay, Kahoot, okay, Kerala OB, okay, play. Let me play. I request the participants to go to kahoot.it, kahoot.it. Where is that? Kahoot.it. I hope net is there. Okay. Manoj Chitari. Okay. Okay. Where is that? Where it is? It is not. Okay. Once again, it becomes slow. I don't know what is the reason. Okay. Play, each. Okay. Now I request the participants to go to kahoot.it. Kahoot.it. I request the participants to go to kahoot.it. Kahoot.it. Yes, kahoot.it. Kahoot.it. I request the participants to go to kahoot.it and use the pin. Use the pin. I'm going to give the pin. Then provide your nickname. Provide your nickname. Provide your nickname. Nickname to which we have to call. Which we have to call or which I have to use it. Which I have to call or use it. That is the provide a nickname. Provide a nickname which you have to call or use it. Which you have to remember. Which you have to remember. Right? Okay. Classic option. Now it is loading. What is the pin eraser? Once again, my system became slow. I don't know what is the reason. Kahoot is loading. It's loading classic. I am loading it. Classic. Classic. I am loading the classic. Yes, Anthony, Renu Jacob, 2 minutes. I will be giving the pin. I don't know what has happened to cargo thief. Okay, it came. One second, sir. I don't know what has happened. Yes. It's loading. Pin is loading. Even though we have a professional version, I don't know what is the reason. Rejoy Thomas Paul. Yes, sir. Pin 113860. 113860. Pin. Go to www.cargos.it. Use the pin 113860. www.cargos.it. Okay, first one is Rejoice. D has joined. Vinita, yes. Fantastic. Okay, superb. 15 people are there. Oh, 16. Amazing. Last time we had 22, then it moved to 27. Four people have come. Okay, let me start the game. Otherwise, we'll wait for one person. 25, it came good. Gio, Adita, Ari, DKB, Preena, Sri Lakshmi. There are two Sri Lakshmis were there actually. I have seen one is Sri Lakshmi, second is SRI Sri Lakshmi was there. Okay, 25 people are there. Let me start. Maybe that is a trend because we are 27. How many participants are there? 73. Okay, maybe 1/3 is good number. So I'm happy over it. Okay, let me start again. I should have kept Rajagiri, but I kept Kerala because for morning I was trying to make the question. Okay. What does OBE stands for? Outcome-based education, outcome-based evaluation, outcome-based educator, outcome-based experiment. So there are 4 options are there. In your screen, colors will be there with the color. If you have to see my screen for this, that is the reason I gave 90 seconds. And if you observe, it's not the question of right answer, it's the question of right answer plus how fast you are answering. Outcome-based education, outcome-based evaluation, outcome-based experiment, outcome-based educator. Okay, fantastic. 22 people. 24 people have told the correct answer. My goodness, some more 2 people made a mistake. I don't want to tell who has made the mistake. Only nickname I know. But it is not the outcome-based evaluation. It is outcome-based education. I told OBE. Learning is fixed. Learning time varies. So we will see who was topper. I don't know, someone with a nickname of P, he got the top name. Angita second, D is third, Anu and DKB are in the top five. Okay. Let me go to the next question quickly. Upon completion of program, what outcomes should a student should have? It's a program learning outcome or course learning outcome, lesson learning outcome or program educational objectives. Upon graduation, upon completion of graduation, you have to remember at the time of graduation. Fantastic. It's a program outcomes or program learning outcomes. I confused you with the learning term. The reason is you should know POs. The POs are depending upon at the time of graduation. After 3 to 5 years of graduation is a POs. At the end of the course, what we measure is a learning outcomes. The subset of some people they call as a lesson learning outcome. That is different. So POs is the right term. Right term is a PO or program learning outcomes. The POs are depends on the graduate attributes. So now the graduate attributes is same for all the institutions. But how to differentiate one institution from other institution? That delta X is PSO, program specific outcomes. That we will see when we go for NBA and criteria 9. What is the infrastructure you are having? What is the laboratory facility is having? So we will compare the criteria 10, criteria 5, like that, all those things, whether the faculty possesses the knowledge or the department is having infrastructure or it is getting corrected. Okay, let me see who is the winner. Okay, Anu now is with a good score and Geo is highest climber. Yes, Princey, RJ and Bibbs. Next question quickly. What is not in the strategic pyramid? Because generally vision, mission, all we call what is not in the strategic pyramid? Vision, action plan, strategic performance. The first day someone might have told you about the vision, mission, the strategic pyramid they might have discussed. Fantastic. Performance is not in the strategic pyramid. Action plan is there. That is in terms of mission and how you are going to mention everything is there except the performance, because performance is asset afterwards. So that is RJ is still topper, RRM, Glad, Geo, Anu, Nitin is the highest climber. The fourth question, what is the meaning of the word M in the SMART in framing objectives? I told it should be specific. It should be achievable. And for M, I've told the class. Fantastic. It's measurable, demonstrable. The objectives need to be measurable, demonstrable. It's correct. It's not the mission, sir. Sorry, it's not mission. It's not the mindset. It's not mandatory. It's measurable. So who is the top? Okay, RRM Geo has the highest streak of 4. All the 4 years did correct, but he didn't give on the fast manner because, as I told you, it is not the question of right answer. It's a question of right answer with the speed. So Geo has highest answer streak of 4. Good, but he didn't climb the top 5. RRM, yes, Anu, Princey, and RJ. Okay. 5th question. Which one is the right flow of OBE framework? Mission, CO, PO, PEO, or mission, PEO, PO, CO? How the strategic pyramid comes? Fantastic. Someone got misleaded. You remember vision, mission, PEO, PO, CO. So CO, PO, mission and mission. That's the way the things work. 11 people have told correctly. And we will see. Oh, Geo, fantastic. Now you take all the 5 answers are correct of Geo. Fantastic. Anu, Nitin, RRM, and P. Everything is fantastic. It's fantastic. Which one is the correct flow of OBE process? OBE process. So, what is the OBE process? It requires planning. It's not a question of planning alone. Planning needs to be something we have to do. Then we have to do the thing. Then we have to do the continuous improvement. So, correct, fantastic. It's a planning, it's implementation. Implementation you have to assess. After assessment, you have to do for the continual quality improvement. That is the cycle. Correct. You're fantastic. What happened, Geo? You lost something. Okay, Anu, fantastic. RRM, Geo, P and Glade. Okay, fantastic. 7th, which one of the following is not a learning domain in the educational goals? Affective, cognitive, ability, and psychomotor. Learning domain contains 3 things. You have to remember what we wear, the head, cap. Cap is cognitive, which gives the knowledge. Psychomotor, which gives the skill. The second A, letter A, what it is. Is it affective or is it ability? Only one thing is there, one thing is not there. Which is not there? That is the question. Fantastic abilities. Some people have told of effective, not at all. Cognitive, affective, and psychomotor. CAP, CAP. Knowledge, skill, attitude, we call it. And overall top. Anu is superb. RRM, Geo, Glad, Princey, and IP, JP is highest climber. Okay. The 8th question. What is the desired level of thinking about teaching? What teachers are, what students are, what students should do, what teachers do. What is the desired level of, I told, what is the teaching? What is learning? Fantastic. What students do, what the outcome, that is what we are emphasizing. So what students do, that is a good answer. What students are, we are, whatever be there, whatever their entry behavior, we are only focusing on how, what they should do. That is the focus in OBE. Maybe the question might be confusing, might be, I don't know, maybe because outcome I didn't cover. I just want to emphasize on the two. The last question, who is the win? Anu, yes, RRM and Nitin, everyone, Benny. Now Anu is, all the questions are correct. I don't know. Okay, good. The two questions, which domain of learning is most challenging to develop and mature? I told cognitive, affective, and psychomotor. Which learning is very difficult to develop and measure? It's very difficult. Today you became, but tomorrow you change. I don't know what is. And you pretend to me. That is known as a cohort learning. Covert learning. COVERT, we call it. The reason is, in the classroom, based on the facial expression of the students or the teacher expression, we can decode certain things. Overt, fantastic. Affective domain is fantastic. That's a correct answer. It's challenging to develop, and because affective domain deals with motivation, attitude, everything. Because attitude is not a static, it's dynamic. The skills, at least for a short period, it will remain. But today you will be good, tomorrow because of some circumstances you might turn, your affective domain might change. It is also difficult to measure also. That is the last question to define the winning. Anu, unfortunately, second place. Now, yes, Vinu, RRM and Geo. Angita, what about Geo? Fifth place. Okay, let me see the last question I'm shooting out. Who is going to be the winner? Let me see. It's a true or false? The course outcome contribute to the attainment of the program outcomes. Is it true or false? Only 20 seconds. Fantastic. True is the right answer. Okay. Luckily, everyone told correct. It's easiest to question. And you are okay. The podium, the third place goes to Binu, 6663. 8 questions you did. And Anu, second runner. And first winner is yes. I don't know who's yes. Maybe superb. And runner-up is RRM and Geo are runner-up. RRM and Geo are runner-up. And yes is the winner. Congratulations. 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 Okay. And difficult questions are only 4. And you can see the how it goes, the feedback. That's a different story. Okay. Let me come to the main picture of the presentation. Okay. Okay. Where is the... I hope the participants enjoyed the game. Because nice, sir. Venkatesh, sir. Okay. Okay, thank you, Venkatesh. I hope you enjoyed. Okay, let me share the screen of the presentation. Okay, let me come to the main picture. Okay, as I told you, outcome-based education contains 3 parts. ICT and outcome-based. One is creating a learning environment. Second is creating a learning material. Third is creating a learning assessment. So that is what we call this social presence, cognitive presence, and teaching presence. Social presence, the learning environment, because the environment should promote me to attend. Environment should promote me to expand my knowledge and participate. That is engagement with the participants. For example, I have used all the platforms. To be frank, most of the platform, touchwood, I have used all the online platforms. for teaching learning for the past from May onwards. I am offering online courses. Enormous, more than 150 online lectures we have delivered, apart from the training program. Renu Jacob, thank you, Renu, thank you. So it's a social presence. Learning environment matters a lot. How I am going to make the participants engage in terms of Mentimeter, in terms of Kahoot, or in terms of Slido in Google Classroom itself. There is a Slido in Google Classroom. You can use it, or you can use interactive boards like a Jamboard is there where you can collaboratively you can use it with the participants, and we can make up other collaborative rule like Plickers. Plickers is not possible in online, and you can make use of Padlet. Padlet, you can make use of it. All different tools are available where you are making the students to have a social presence. Sometimes some shy students, without revealing the identity, I don't know who is Yes, but Yes played very well and he got the first mark. And here this is not contains the mark, but he also happy did it. He didn't reveal the identity. I am also not worried who is the identity, but ultimately he learned. He got the first mark. I am happy. So engagement, social presence is there. Cognitive presence. Cognitive presence, what I mean. Nowadays, enormous contents are available. I should be in the position to know which is the right content. What is the right flavor of content also I should be in the position to know. Because otherwise what happens, I might learn, but the content might be go wrong also. Because Palamburi, only Kerala people recipe will be right. If you ask me to tell about Palamburi, I will tell about Bhaji recipe. Both look same, but that is not Palamburi. So, by looking it is not there. Content is engagement with the content. Now, that is regulating the learning. That is needed. That is a learning environment. For that purpose only, we promote OER, Open Educational Resources. Open Educational Resources are there. And the teaching process. And then we have to see the assessment. Assessment is basically I need to judge whether the students have did it correctly or they have made it everything perfect. Everything I should be in the position to assess this. That is the teaching process. Teaching process is also very, very important. Teaching process is very, very important. That also I should be in the position to know. Teaching process I have to know. The learning process I have to know. And the cognitive process, and finally the selecting the climate, setting the climate. So these are the three things which you have to be remember when you are implementing ICT tools. So when you are deciding the ICT tools, you have to identify whether your content is a factual information or is he going to learn the facts and figures. So for that, several charts are there. Animation, creating charts, different tools are available. You can group such tools. Are they going to learn the visual identification? Visual identification. Some diagrammatic representation, some sketches, some instruments. You should know what is Ehrenmeyer flask. You should know what is pipette, what is burette, even though you might come to the, because if you want to learn from the subconscious, if you want to learn without forgetting the thing, you have to have the visualization. Visualization is the first and foremost thing. So visualization plays an important role. For that, there are some tools are there, but such tools you have to use it. That is the second item. The third item, principle concept rules. For that only lecture like this, I can deliver the principle concepts. What are the rule number 1, rule number 2, rule number 3. Like that, I can quote the rules or I can quote the define the rules. Everything. Learning session. Learning session, sir. Okay. Or learning session. Okay. Principle concept rules and the procedures. You remember? Learning the procedure is different, learning the skill is different. Learning the procedure, what I mean is, for example, driving, can I learn by watching the videos? No. I can learn the procedure, but I cannot know the skill. I have to need a platform to perform it. And similarly, I can know how to cook pulishery, but I have to know, I can learn the procedure. Malabar side, how they cook, Cochin side, how they cook, Thrissur, Palakkad side, how they cook, I can learn. But I should know the skill means I need some practice. Learning the procedure, it's a second, fourth thing. The second is perpetual skilled motor act, performing skilled perpetual motor act. Because I learned the procedure, I need to practice it. Because some people are good in demonstrating the procedure, but if you ask them to do, they may not be doing. That is the problem. So, you should be in the position to know the procedures as well as skill. Troubleshooting is also very, very important. The last is attitude, opinions, and motivation. Because one of the important aspect in the case of outcome-based education is the attitude. Because you remember affective domain, teaching them in a affective domain. Because a professional ethics, there is a mandatory paper. If you see Kerala, they brought a mandatory paper on sustainable engineering. So like that, the papers are available. We have to be very clear and have clarity in the content. So that this is the way for the digital ecosystem. We group the content into 6 categories: factual information, visual identification, principal concept roots, procedure, skilled perpetual motor, desirable attitude, opinions, and motivation. For each, we have different tools, sir. For each, you have different tools. So first thing you have to remember, you need to be aware of the tips, because it is not the question of knowledge, it's the question of awareness. Awareness should lead to the consideration. Consideration should lead to the adoption. Adoption should lead to the innovation. So that's the way the things work out, and we should be in the position to do how the things work out, and what are the ways which we can learn, and what way we can adopt it. What way we can adopt all those things. You should be in the position to teach it. That is the methodology which you have to do. Second is methods and tools. Let me focus. There are n number of tools are available. Lot of tools are available. So as I told you, learning environment, we can use Padlet, Moodle. From 3 faculties they told they are using Moodle. Venkatesh told they are using Moodle, Zoom, Edpuzzle, Microsoft Teams, Google Meet, Google Classroom, and Canvas. You can tell there are several platforms out there. So the platform should facilitate you. For example, I have a Google this thing. I have a Canvas platform. I always use. I use Canvas. I use everything. I can demonstrate. I have a Canvas platform because I should be in the position to give the attendance, give the grades. Its Canvas is free for teacher. So for the past 5 years, I'm using it Canvas. So for example, blended and flipped approach. If you are using one course from next month onwards, from November onwards, I'm offering a modular training program. Every week, 3 days class, 1 hour class from 4 to 5, and later on we are going to work on it. So if you see the grades, the content, you can put the content, you can put the videos, you can make the grades, you can give the quizzes, you can give the quizzes to the students, and you can give the grades also. You can give the different proportion of grades. We can give the quiz, we can give the grades in a different format, and easy for me to assess, easy for me to evaluate. We can evaluate it. For students who are not giving, students who have skipped the exams, everything I can easily monitor and I can easily give the content. So that is that. Because either I can use Google Classroom or I can use LMS. Little Chennai is having LMS. Now this week I am running a course, special course for the government of Telangana. Government of Telangana wants to train a master trainers. 63 teachers they have given. Okay, we said okay, we will conduct. So for 63 teachers, we are conducting a special program of how to develop e-content. So this is a special program for Telangana. So I can put my course and I can administrate, I can do the scheduling, I can give the quiz, all things are because there are 24 activities are possible in the Moodle. 24 activities. You can give chats, you can give forums, you can give quizzes. H5P, very powerful because I really play with H5P. For example, if I want to put one content, I can turn anything on. I can put the H5P, one of the best activity which I feel, because Edpuzzle and H5P is the H5P, which gives the where I can play with the this thing, interactive content. In between, I can put my video. I can put questions in between. I can give a polling. I can get the opinion from the students. It's possible. It's possible. Or assessment, or potatoes I can do. I can use creative mapping, mind map. I can give space. I can put others compact. Suppose EXE learning. I developed some learning content. I can upload it. If I developed open book, I can develop it. I can put it. All those things are possible in the case of a learning activity. Learning material, because learning material, very short activity, long activity, collaborative activity, learning material. You can give a learning material using mind map or a free mind, Cam Studio, Book Creator, Audacity, Flipgrid, Mentimeter, for creating a board. Virtual labs, now state of Kerala has made signed some MOU with the NIT Surat for virtual labs. Socrative, EdTed videos, EdTed lessons, Khan Academy, OBS, Audacity you can use it, Tinkercad, MindMister, PHET, Colorado, MIM Generator, CoSpaces, Google Trends, Timeline, Bid Reader, all those things are there for material. And apart from that, you can also create material from the OER, Open Educational Resources. Open Educational Resources, Merlot, Galileo, Wikipedia Commons, OERs, and because that's the reason I use Canvas. Because the Canvas, what is the advantage is, I can make a Canvas, I can make my own. I have added 8%, but one of the advantage of Canvas is I can put OER comments. I can put a relevant course material which is available in the internet, which is freely shareable. I can put it into my class because that's the advantage. That's a safeguarding, educating, developing spirit, all the courses which are available. I can put it, I can just put it into my classroom. It's very simple. So I can have a model, how to use the model. So instructor video, the yellow paper quiz, suppose some problem 7. There are some quizzes are there which you can add it and which you can make it into the building myself. Waiver, meter, and printer. So like that, the courses are there. The courses which are available, I can add it to them without any fail. How to teach the model 8 of health. So October. There are several courses which you can add. That is OER comments. And next comes the assessment. If you see, outcome-based teaching learning tools, especially ICT tools, should facilitate you in assessment, in data logging, how attentive the students are there, how much time they are taking to answer your quiz. Are they repeating? That assessment you have to do, that learning analytics you have to get. That is the crux of outcome-based education, because outcome-based education, we not only believe in the learning, we also believe in the learning analytics. How much time the students spend in learning the content. Because if I use Edpuzzle, if I use H5P, I can learn this video. This video is segmented into different fragmentation, and each fragment, how much time the student has spent, I can easily get obtain. I can easily obtain. Sort potatoes, formatting, Ruby Star, Class Central, Click Garden, formative, e-portfolio, Jeopardy Lab. There are several things are there which you can work on it and which you can make use it, which you can adopt it appropriately. So when you use technology into the classroom, sometimes we might get triggered. Today we have to use all the technology. The trigger will be there. That is, we call it as a peak of inflated expectations. So then the trough of delusion will come. Then you'll get a slope of enlightenment. Okay, even if I do all the technology, the students may not use all the technology in one day, because that is there. So the peak of inflated expectation, plateau of productivity, slope of enlightenment, and trough of delusion. So that is there. You should be very careful. So sometimes you get peak, then you get disadvantaged or get discouraged, dampened, no problem. So finally you get work on it. Okay. So the teacher and student, there is no fighting in the case of outcome-based education. It is only collaborative learning. It is a mutual. It is not a boxing fight between the teacher and the student. It is basically a sharing of knowledge and this thing. And that's the way the system works. You have to work on it. So ultimately you have to remember, to mold the student organically, it is a responsibility of the teacher. So how you work and what makes you to work, you have to remember, and ultimately you have to learn things. So the path traveled is watch videos and reading learning material. That is important. And we should have active participate in the discussion forum or WhatsApp group or Telegram group where hand holding of the students are there. That is there. And third, assignment quiz and questionnaire survey. And last is the proctored examination, the change project. So any change project or any innovation project is needed to make the students to get engaged. That is very, very important. So ultimately, that if you use technology appropriately, you can transform the students from the need to improve category to great. Because as I told you, technology enabled the learning. Technology facilitate the learning. And technology really empower the teachers also. So in such situation, appropriate blend of technology is needed to have a proper teaching learning process. If the teaching learning process is proper, the outcome is achieved. So the students can become from need to improve category to the great category. So your lectures, especially in the case of digital tools, it should increase their efficiency, it should enrich you, it should enlighten you, and finally it should provide the proper outcome. So that is that. So we are offering a course, and course already started, and but you should have a dynamic, fun, and interactive games during the lecture. Make the lecture into small clusters or chunks. Reliable access to technology and ease in both your connectivity bandwidth consumption. Provide a virtual group activities and simulators. Show face to face. Increase your face time. Because if it's completely virtual, you get sometimes bored, you might sleep also. So schedule regular check-in with the trainers and virtual tour to the facility. That is very, very important. Virtual tour to the facility. Virtual tour to the facility. That is also very, very important. That is also very, very important. So getting information from the internet is taking water from the fire engine. So when you're using ICT tools, you have to be proper because we should not create an overdosage. As I told you, cooking is easy, washing the utensils is tough. Similarly, lecturing is very easy, but evaluating is very tough. So technology need to be used appropriately. That is the need of the hour. That is the need of the hour. And ultimately, if you see, it does not matter how many resources you hear. If you don't know how to use them, it will not be enough. So that is the problem. So you should be in a position to know how to use it appropriately. How to use it appropriately, it should be known. And it's not the question of right or wrong. A vision without action is a daydream. Action without vision is a nightmare. Using technology successfully in the classroom is a mindset, not a skill set. It's not the question of right or wrong. It's a question of our future. And I don't know whether I provided the information or misinformation. I cannot write. If you want to have some tools, how to use the tools. A lot of videos of mine are available in the Swayam and online platforms. You can watch it, how to create a learning environment, how to make effective learning whiteboard environment, how to create lectures, how to create learning materials, small 15 minutes, 10 minutes video. I have made it. You can just look into it. And that is the way. And I don't know whether I loaded you with several steps also. I don't know, but I want to try to engage you. So I hope before starting the lecture, you might have a different perspective of outcome-based education, outcome-based teaching learning process. I put it very practically in a perspective. Learning is fixed, learning time varies. A differentiated instruction and personalized learning is possible using technology. Technology could be used in 3 different categories: learning environment, learning materials, and learning assessment. So it's not the question of the change in the path, or I don't know, but I hope my lecture would have provided you some spark. I am pretty sure this spark will ignite your mind, ignite your knowledge, ignite your thought process. I am pretty sure. So my question to the decision maker, whether we can win the race, because we are studying outcome-based education is already adopted in different countries. But we have to remember, outcome-based education is not something new. It is our own old Gurukula system. Old Gurukula system is only outcome-based education. Unfortunately or fortunately, we are not looking into we are looking it as a different perspective. But you have to remember, outcome-based education is something that our own old Gurukula system. Old Gurukula system is a outcome-based education, and outcome-based education will make transformation. The old Gurukulas, but there are some countries which have been withdrawn from the outcome-based. For example, South Africa, Australia, they were in the outcome-based education, but finally they thought it's very difficult for them to implement it, so they came back. So it is depending upon how you are looking into the perspective, how you are valuing it. That also matters a lot. So ultimately, you have to remember, how you are implementing it, how you are taking it further. Because I know Kerala government has implemented out OPELT, but it's ultimately depends upon how you are going to use it. So, any doubts, further comments, unanswered issues, anything if you have, you can ask me, and I will be very happy. Because don't worry, if you are having any doubts, you can ask me. I may be in the position, whatever to the capability of mine, I will answer it. But ultimately, I depend ICT for teaching learning is very, very important. ICT for teaching and learning really revolutionize the way in which we think, way in which we visualize, way in which we adopt the things. That is very, very important. Very, very important. So that way you have to remember. We have to remember. So thank you very much. You can get connected to me through my WhatsApp, email. But sometimes sir might be knowing. I am not exaggerating. Sometimes we are overloaded because I have 3 portfolios: Center for International Affairs, Center for Curriculum. So shuttling between 2 different offices and the civil department, I basically. So I have my research scholars. So I will be moving here and there. That is the reason. And but at the right time, right moment, I will answer your call and solve your queries. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, you can just ask me or shoot up. With this, I really thank Professor for providing a good opportunity because he was persuading, and I know sometimes one day I had a because next day we were having a SWAYAM examination was going to come. There were several issues were there. At the time, sir was asking me, I said, okay, I will give it to you. So that was the reason. But I hope if you have any questions, kindly let me know, and I will be happy to answer. Sir. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, sir. If the participants have any questions, you can ask now. Okay. So we have come to the end of today's session. On behalf of Rajagiri School of Engineering and Technology, I would like to thank our speaker, Dr. Janardhanan Gangatulasi, for giving this very informative, excellent and interesting talk on ICT methods in outcome-based education. I also thank all the participants. Thank you. And one more information. Tomorrow morning session will be handled by Professor N.C. Shivaprakash, retired scientist, IISc Bangalore. He will be handling the topic NBA Self-Assessment Report. Thank you.